are now entering a techie zone.
Welcome back into the Mind of the Techies world, and today we've got another Apple product for you today. It's a bit interesting. This, as you can tell by the title as into what this is, but this is my new 15-inch MacBook Pro. It is not a Retina model, as you'll see here in just a moment. It is actually a 2011 15-inch MacBook Pro, and if anybody is familiar with the 2011 MacBook Pros, you'll know these things have these things are plagued with GPU issues. It's not really the GPU itself, it's, I believe, the solder that was used to bond the GPU onto the logic board. But the good news is this has had a new logic board put in, and it is in full operational condition. So, why do I have this here? Well, this is actually my new primary machine. This 15-inch 2011 MacBook Pro is my new primary machine. I have sold my 13-inch MacBook Pro, and just as a quick little reference, my old 13-inch MacBook Pro was actually the longest I have ever kept a computer, and it was my first brand new computer. Prior to buying that MacBook Pro in 2012, I was just buying used computers, and I was taking computers that had broken parts, and basically I was building myself a computer because I couldn't afford to buy a new one. So when the time came along, I bought a new 13-inch MacBook Pro because that's all I needed at the time. Then as my needs changed, I wanted to buy a new 15-inch Retina, but other circumstances kind of got in the way from me doing that this year. So in the interim, I have sold my 13-inch MacBook Pro to help the cost of upgrading to a new model. So in the interim, I bought this. This actually was a gamble that I took on this machine. I didn't know anything about it besides the model number and what it looked like. As you know, if you know about Macs, you cannot date Macs by their model number. Apple shares the same model number between all their devices. The model number this uses, I think, dates all the way back to 2010. So you can't really use you can't really use the model number as an indicator as to how old a machine is. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't even know the serial number, so I couldn't even look it up before I bought it. I bought it, as you see it, without the power adapter. I do have another power adapter I'm using. I have one that is coming for it. I don't know when it's supposed to be here. It's taking a little vacation, it seems like, out in Kansas City. I don't know. It's been in Kansas City for like 3 days, according to the tracking number. So it's taking a little vacation in Kansas City. I've never been there, but I'm sure it's nice. But anyway, it is coming eventually, and so in the interim, I'm using I have another power adapter that goes to these, so I'm using that. It's only a 65 watt, but again, I don't really see a difference. I notice when I'm doing high impact work on this, like for example, if I'm video editing or something, the computer will either fail to charge, it'll just keep it powered up, or it takes forever to charge. That's because it's not supplying enough power, but it'll do until the other one comes. I won't tell you how much I spent on it, but it was enough, and it was more than I really wanted to. But I think it worked out in the end. Condition-wise, the top of this thing is in very fantastic condition. There's a little dent. Let's see if I can find it. It's right here. There's a little, whoa, focus. We just went out of focus. Come on, baby, come on. Right there, there's a little dent. It's hard to see, but there is a little indenture there. That was like that when the machine came here. And again, it's common for these things to get scratched up and dented. This, it's not as durable as it looks. I mean, it looks like it's durable and it could survive a car, running over it, but it's really not. It's not as durable as it looks. These things all the time get scratched and dented. It's only cosmetic, but again, this is in very nice shape. The bottom of it here, again, it's in pretty good shape. It's got some typical scratching on the bottom. As you can see right there, there's a little scuff mark there and a scuffing here. Some scratches. It's heavily scratched right on here. It's missing a foot. It was like that when the machine was shipped. I did make a unboxing video of this machine, but I really did not like, obviously it didn't come, it did not come, in its original box, but I did make an unboxing video when it first came to the house, but I really didn't like how it came out, so I'm probably not even going to upload it. I might, I don't know. I haven't even edited it. I just seen the raw video and I'm like, I don't really like this. So that unboxing video of this machine may or may not be uploaded. I don't know. I don't really care for the way it came out, so I probably won't upload it. So this will be a little bit of a longer video than usual because I have to go into a little bit more details about this machine. But anyway, it is missing a foot. I haven't gotten around to replacing it yet. It's very easy to replace these things. All you do is just remove the 10 screws that hold the bottom cover on. You take some super glue, put in the little, there's a little the plunger thing that you stick in there first, and then you put the foot on, then you glue it on, leave it sit for about 5 minutes, and then you should be fine. Feet for these are very inexpensive. You can get like a pack of 4 for like $3. I mean, they're very cheap. Let's see, the model number. Like it even matters, but the model number is right there. It is, woo. The model number is A1286. That model number is shared among a lot of MacBook Pro models dating back to 2010. So you can't really date these things based on the model number. Around the left side, it's actually very similar to my 13-inch MacBook Pro in terms of ports. All the unibody MacBook Pros are quite similar. Here we have MagSafe power right there. Gigabit Ethernet, FireWire 400. That's actually Thunderbolt because it's a 2011, which also carries video out. This is interesting. It's got USB, 2 USB ports. It's 2.0. My MacBook Pro was a 2012 model, and it had USB 3.0. So I'm getting used to 2.0. It's a little difficult when you've had 3.0 for like 4 years. SD card slot. You've got a microphone line-in port here, which sadly the 15-inch MacBook Pro doesn't have anymore, and a headphone jack and your battery indicator. Interesting thing about this, I don't know where that came from. It was there when the machine, I don't know where that came from. It was there when the machine was shipped to me. Looked like it might have suffered a fall at one point, but that's all right. Around here we have, of course, focus. We have magnetic latch. You got your sleep light, which is right in here, and your IR sensor for the Apple remote. I don't have an Apple remote. Here we have Kensington lock if you want to lock it onto a desk, and we've got your optical drive, which is a slot loading dual layer super drive, which Macs don't come with anymore. A lot of computers don't come with them, but who honestly cares? It's almost 2016. Nobody uses optical discs anymore. At least I don't, and a bunch of other people don't. On the back, it's in very good shape here. This is a plastic, this thing here is called a lot of people call it the hinge. It's actually not. This is actually called a display clutch. And this houses all the cables that go from the display into the logic board. And if there's one thing I do not like about the unibody MacBook Pros, it's this. The MacBook Pro itself is made out of aluminum, but this display clutch is made out of plastic, and it doesn't. And these things are known for cracking and splitting apart from the LCD. Ooh, focus. There we go. Thank you. Right in around here, they'll start to separate from the actual display, or they'll crack. This one is it's in pretty good shape. There's no cracking, no misalignment. It's in very good shape. These things are constantly broken, these plastic clutch covers. They are just, I don't know why these are plastic. I don't know why Apple didn't make this metal. I don't understand why they didn't do that. So, right here, I also didn't mention this. Right here, it looked like this machine suffered a fall at one point. Notice how it's like bent like that. So that's interesting why it's that way. Again, this was here when I took, shipment of the machine, so it looked like at one point it suffered a fall. But again, that's only cosmetic and it doesn't affect anything. Okay, so let's go ahead and open it up, see what the inside of this looks like, if it will focus. So inside of here we have just your standard 15-inch MacBook Pro. It looks just like any other 15-inch unibody MacBook Pro that you've seen in the past. We've got keyboard here, which is backlit, multi-touch trackpad, and we've got the iSight camera with the microphone. The microphone is actually in the speaker grill. It's not up here. It's actually in the speaker grill down here. The light sensors for the keyboard, I believe, are in the speaker grills. I believe that's where they are. If not, it's up in here. You can see my reflection in the glossiness of the display. Hello. When I first booted this machine up, when I first unboxed it, this machine had all the classic signs of a GPU failure. I didn't even know what year it was. I was hoping it was a 2012, But after I unboxed it, the first thing I did was I looked up the model number, the serial number. And the serial number on Apple's support site showed it as a 2011, which kind of disappointed me a little bit because I was hoping it was a 2012 because I didn't want to deal with any GPU issues. And when I first booted it up, surely it showed signs of a GPU issue. There was lines on the screen and the color was off. Instead of being white, the color was more pink and there was lines on the screen and it was just a mess. So I knew it had a GPU issue. Because at the date of making this video, it's December, what is today's date? I don't honestly know. It's December 17th of 2015 when this video is being recorded. I actually had this machine. I've actually had this machine for about a week now. Apple has what they call a repair extension for these machines where even if it's out of warranty, which all these 2011 MacBook Pros would have been out of warranty because the warranty for these are 3 years. If you get the Apple Care extended, it's 3 years. So all these would have been out of warranty. Apple will run a diagnostics test, and if the test actually fails the video test, then that means the GPU is failing and it will need a replacement logic board. And at that point, Apple will replace the entire logic board. That's my iPad. Apple will replace the entire logic board free of charge, no charge to you, and they'll send you on your way. So I took it to a local Apple specialist, and they're certified by Apple to do all this. And so I took it into them, had the board replaced. I got it back about a day later with a new logic board put in. And this machine came without a hard drive. But this machine came to me without a hard drive. So I stuck the hard drive for my 13-inch on here. I have a new hard drive for that 13-inch coming because I have it sold. So I have a new hard drive coming for that. So I stuck my old hard drive in here. And then just a few days ago, I bought a new SSD. I didn't bring the box down. I wish I would have. But I'll just show it to you when we boot up the machine. I put in a Samsung 850 Pro 256 gigabyte SSD in here, and ooh, the speed improvements are nice. So let's go ahead and boot it up. Watch how fast this thing boots up now because it has an SSD in it. It's insane. Here she goes. No startup chime for some reason. I think the volume's turned down. Whoa, we went out of focus. Look at how fast this thing boots up. Boom. There it is. Fully booted to the desktop. That's what? 11 seconds? That is insane. Yeah, something about iCloud keychain. Yeah, the volume's turned down. There we go. So again, this is, oh dear. Get out of here. All right, so again, we're fully booted to the desktop here. Let's go ahead and take a look about this Mac. Let's see. We are running OS X El Capitan 10.11.2. It is a late 15-inch, late 2011. It's got a 2.2 gigahertz Core i7 quad in it. I did not, something I didn't know, this has 16 gigs of RAM in it. I don't know if it was upgraded by the person who owned this machine before or if the logic board came with 16 gigs of RAM. I'm not 100% sure. The display, it is actually the high-res model, 1680 by 1050. Normally, these models have a native resolution of 1440 by 900. In terms of storage, you'll see here we'll have a SSD in here when it loads. There it is. 256 gigabyte solid state SATA drive, and you can see it's a 256 gigabyte model. The overall size isn't that bad. I do not have, come on, focus. Thank you. I don't have 161 gigabytes worth of apps in here. I just put the, I just put the solid state drive in here yesterday. So this still hasn't configured everything out properly. This usage, it hasn't configured everything out yet. It will once, I use it. And obviously, as you use the machine more, this will ultimately fix itself. Because there's more than 3 gigabytes of audio in here. So it hasn't configured itself out yet. That usually takes a few days. And after you do that, after you do like a time machine backup, which is what I did, I just restored my entire machine from a time machine backup. You know, it takes a couple days for that. So that's not accurate. But again, it will take a little while for that to go properly. Memory, 16 gigabytes are installed, 1333 megahertz. The support and it is a Core i7 quad, of course. All 15-inch models come with a quad core. Let's take a look at storage. Samsung, stop it. Samsung SSD 850 Pro 256. There you go. I do have trim enabled, and we'll go there. Samsung SSD, trim support, yes. I want graphics, I want to take a look at that. Nope, not that. Not that either. Come on, where are you? There you are. So here are the two graphic subsystems, AMD Radeon HD 6750 mobile and an Intel HD Graphics 3000. This AMD chip is the one that's known to failing. That is its own GPU. Basically, this automatically switches between the two graphic subsystems based on your usage. So, for example, right now, if all I was doing was, let's say, browsing the internet, it would more than likely just stay on the Intel graphics. Once I go over to, let's say, Final Cut Pro and I start editing, it will automatically move all the graphics over onto the GPU to give you better graphics performance. But it does eat battery life. There actually is a setting in here. You can go into System Preferences, and it's under, not there, it's under Displays, I think. Not there either. Where is it? I know it's in here somewhere. Ah, there it is. Automatic graphic switching. So if you have that turned on, the machine will automatically switch between the two graphic subsystems based on usage. If you uncheck this, it will just use the AMD graphics all the time. Which for some people that might be useful. For me, that's not. So I just leave that checked. It automatically switches based on its usage. So I like that. You can download an app. There actually are apps you can download that will allow you to manually switch between if you need more power. So here we go. Let's go ahead and browse the web here. Look how fast Safari launches. It's insane. Look how fast. This is just insane how fast things launch. That's Safari. How about let's try iTunes. iTunes is not known to be a fast launcher. There you go. That's about as fast as I think iTunes has ever launched with an SSD. I do have a Windows 10 VM on here. I haven't booted into the VM ever since I put this SSD in here, so I don't know how fast it works. Probably faster than any. To show you the disk speed, let's go ahead and go into here and let's search up DISK disk Blackmagic disk speed test. That's what we want. Let's go ahead and take a look at the disk speed. Starter. So we've got about 438 megabits per second on the write, and on the read, 517 megabytes. That is just insane. And you know, these are typical for SSDs. There's no moving parts, so the read-write speed is just phenomenal. So again, SSD, you get a lot of speed improvements. Everything works. The audio works, Bluetooth works, Wi-Fi works. The battery is in pretty good health. I've been able to get this on Wi-Fi. I've been able to get this to go about 3 to 4 hours. I had this going, just iTunes playing with all Wi-Fi off. I've had this going for almost 6 hours, which is pretty good. Yeah, let's take a look at the battery health. About 69% battery health at 456 cycles. So I think that's all I have to show you on this machine, and obviously, because it is a Mac, it has a backlit keyboard. Of course, if you were to black off the room, you would see that a whole lot better, but it is backlit. I have ran a Geekbench test on this, and what's very interesting is I compared this machine to my old 13-inch MacBook Pro on Geekbench, and I found that On this machine, this machine blew out my 13-inch out of the water when it came to the multi-core tests, because obviously a quad-core processor beats a dual-core every single time. So I mean, it just totally blew it out of the water in terms of that, so that wasn't surprising. Where it's a little more interesting is on the testing, my 13-inch MacBook Pro scored better in the single-core tests than this machine. That might have to do with the fact that this machine is running off 2011 hardware, and my old 13-inch has 2012 hardware. And basically what that means is that the processor that's on here is, this model has the Sandy Bridge architecture from and then the 2011 has Ivy Bridge, which is newer by 1 year. So that might be the reason why the 13-inch MacBook Pro scored higher on the single core tests than this machine. Also, it scored better on the RAM tests. Even though that my old 13-inch MacBook Pro only has 8 gigs of RAM and this has 16, you would think, well, this machine would score better on the RAM test. No. Because actually it's the bus speed. This only has a 1333 megahertz RAM bus, where the 13-inch MacBook Pro from 2012 has a 16 megahertz bus. Not 16 megahertz, 1600. That difference in the RAM bus, the 13-inch won the RAM test because of the faster RAM. You can put in faster RAM modules into this machine. I have read cases of people putting the 1600 megahertz RAM modules in here and they work. I'm just not going to spend the money. I mean, why? I mean, this has got, it's maxed out on its RAM. I'm not going to buy new 16 gigabyte modules just because this, no, I mean, you don't even notice the speed difference. It's very little. See how far it takes to shut down? Usually it's quite quick. And there it is, fully shut down. So that's pretty much all I have for you with this video. The screen is nice and tight. It doesn't flop. One thing I notice with these is people constantly try to yam that thing all the way back because, you know, you're restricted to like there. That's about as far back as it goes. Like, you know, like that. And a lot of people try, you know, pushing it back further and they damage the hinges. You know, the hinges get damaged and the screen's flopping, but this one is nice and tight. The screen is tight. The magnets are tight, and it does everything it's supposed to. So, this is my new 15-inch MacBook Pro from 2011. New logic board, SSD, 16 gigs of RAM, 2.2 gigahertz with an AMD Radeon GPU on it. Fully replaced logic board. So this is my new machine. If you guys like the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more from the Techies World, hit the subscribe button down below. I'm not entirely sure when I'm going to upload a new video. I might get one more in this year. Just in case if I don't, happy holidays, whatever you celebrate, Christmas, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate, and have a happy new year. And if I don't upload in the next week or two, I will see you in 2016. Thanks for watching.
Yo, fresh haircut, fresh cars, fresh homeboys, fresh stars. About to bring 4 girls back 5 stars. Famous, without the fuss, I'm hard. From the shit at the house.